Your flute needs color, dynamic color. Why, hello, fluties, and welcome to my channel. I am flute teacher Marcy. I have been teaching the flute for almost 20 years now, and although I'm new to YouTube, I am not new to the flute, and I am here hoping to help you get more out of playing your flute at home. Dynamics are an important part to playing with more color. Think of our flute playing as a drawing. First, you start off with just sketching the rough shapes, then you commit to making those lines. Next, you add shading, lights and darks and depth, and lastly, you add the color. Playing your flute with accurate fingers, tempo, and rhythm is like filling out the sketch and line work. Adding dynamics is like the shading, giving it depth, light and dark, an important step toward adding the full riot of color that we want from our musical drawing. So you may ask, but Marcy, how do we play louder without cracking and sounding ugly? Well, dear flutie, I am so glad you asked. Let's talk air. There are a few simple rules, 4 to be exact, that we need to follow before we can get into my multi-step process toward playing with dynamics on the flute. Rule number 1, you have to keep your air at the same consistent speed, no matter if you're playing that note loud or soft. Rule number 2, louder notes need more air and softer notes need less air. Rule number 3, you need to balance the size of the aperture with the amount of air that you're using, so that your airspeed remains the same. To blow more air, you have to create more space for that air to live. When you're playing less air, it needs a smaller space to live in order to keep the airspeed at a constant rate. Rule number 4, adjust the angle of the air by adjusting your jaw and lower lip. Louder notes, the air needs to point farther down. Softer notes need to be lifted up. Now that we have our 4 rules, keep the airspeed constant. Louder notes need more air, softer notes need less air. Balancing the aperture with the amount of air that you're using, again, to maintain that constant speed. And adjust the angle of the air in order to maintain the pitch. Louder notes go farther down, higher notes go farther up. All right, to implement these rules, we're going to need to break it down into a few different steps. Step 1, play loud. With lots of air, but also a lot of space. Keep the air pointed down by tucking the jaw down and back, but not too much. Now, step 2, use a metronome, set it to 60 beats per minute to hold that loud note with lots of space steady. Try to see how long that you're able to maintain your air, really constant volume in a really relaxed way. Just a nice, big, open note. At this stage, set goals for yourself of 4 beats held, and then switch it to 6 beats and 8 beats, and just see if you can maintain a nice steady sound for whatever goal that you think is a reasonable goal for you to achieve right now. Step 3, practice that same thing, but completely opposite. Play soft. Small amount of air, small amount of space, so that the air speed remains the same as it was for your loud note. The bottom lip and jaw are going to come forward to make sure that you don't drop that note to a lower octave and to make sure that you're not going to be going flat. And now here you're going to go back to step 2, use a metronome. 60 beats per minute, practice playing soft and maintaining a good, clean sound softly. Step number 4, add loud and soft together. Start by playing your note loud, then gradually use less air while changing the position of your jaw to maintain the correct airspeed all the way the same until you can get to a soft note. Now this one will take you some time. There's a ton of physical coordination that has to happen in order to have just the right balance of space to amount of air to maintain that speed at exactly the right speed. It's quite a thing. So take your time, get really comfortable with that, See if you can get that process to go as smoothly as possible. So don't get frustrated too fast. And here you're going to go back to step number 2, the metronome. Now that you've gotten the hang of going from loud to soft, you want to start now doing it in a really controlled way that is evenly spreading it out over a specific amount of time. So going from nice and loud and over 4 beats going to really soft, or over 8 beats going to really soft. The more you can have kind of control and regulate your breath and regulate your jaw motion and this amount of space and all of these things that you have to proportion, the more that you're going to be able to use this in actual pieces of music. Okay, step number 5, do the reverse. Start soft and get louder. And go back to step number 2, use a metronome, do the same thing. Start soft, get loud, practice that control so that we're able to use this in real life applications. Step number 6 is optional. Add in your tuner for even a nice level up skill. This may be a step that you take some weeks from when you start this process, or maybe even months. What we want to make sure that we're not rushing into the tuner step, because we don't want to be focusing so much on the pitch that we forget to listen for the quality and clarity of your sound. Most of all, we want a clear, relaxed sound. Focus on that first, then add in the tuner to kind of help you refine that further. But if you don't have a clear, relaxed sound to start with, adding the tuner will not help. It'll just make you more frustrated and you will just get more tense. Clean, clear, and then add in that tuner to really get that perfect crescendo and decrescendo. That's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you have suggestions for me for future videos. Hit the little bell notification. Have a flute-tastic day, and I'll see you in the next one.